We are on Nun Testament days, and Bez Hashem, we will finish the parak today, and we'll make up a little bit of ground to catch up. So we continue speaking about houses into courtyards and different halachas of that sort. The Mishnah right in the middle of Nun Testament base 59b. Lo yiftach adam chalanosav l'chatzer hashutvin. So you should not open up your windows to a joint courtyard. So you're a partner in the courtyard with somebody else. So you shouldn't open up a window into that courtyard because now it's gonna affect the privacy of the person in the courtyard, and he doesn't want you to look into the courtyard. Lokach bayis b'chatzer acheres lo yiftachenu b'chatzer. So let's say you have another house that's near this chatzer. So then, even though part of the chatzer, part of the courtyard is yours, but you shouldn't make another opening into the courtyard because it'll increase the amount of visitors that are going through the courtyard. So first one is you shouldn't open up a window to the courtyard. And the second thing is you shouldn't increase more traffic into a courtyard. Yeah. Bana aliyah al gabe besa. You built an attic on your house. If you built an attic into your house, you also shouldn't make an opening into this joint courtyard. You and a friend own a courtyard. Now you build an attic. If you're going to make another entrance from the courtyard to the attic, you're going to increase traffic into this courtyard, and that the guy can stop you from doing. So what should you do? Ela imratza bona as a cheder lefnim mi beso ubona liya al gabe beso uposcha lesoch beso. If you want, you can, build a room inside your house, so therefore it's the same entry point. Or ubona aliyah al gabe beso uposcha lesoch beso. You can have a different room or an attic in your house, but the point of entry will be the same. You won't have a new opening from the chutzner to the house. The opening of the house, the doorway of the house will still be the one point of access to this interior room and this attic. So says the Gemara, that first halacha, you shouldn't open up a window into a joint courtyard. And the idea was because now you're going to be, violating the guy's privacy. Says the Gemara, "My area l'chatzer shutvin." Why is it talking about a chatzer shutvin, a joint courtyard? Afilu l'chatzer chaveru nami lo. You can't open up a window into your neighbor's courtyard. Also, not only a joint courtyard, but even a neighbor's courtyard. So, what's the additional novelty of the Mishnah that it's specified that you can't open your window, you can't make a window into your joint courtyard, even a not joint courtyard, you cannot open up a window. At the end of the day, you're still affecting the guy's privacy. Whether he's your partner or whether he's not your partner seems to be irrelevant. Says the Gemara, no, you're right. Lomi ba'ikama. We don't need to state that you can't open a window into your friend's courtyard. That's obvious. Lomi ba'i l'chatzer chaveru. Dilo. Aval l'chatzer hashutvin. You would have thought that maybe by a joint courtyard, there would have been a reason why you were allowed to build a window. And then the Mishnah taught us that you're not allowed to. What would have been that reason? The Amarle, sof, hakabais, it's the minai. The chatzar, either way, the partner who owns this courtyard, so this guy who's building the window, he could say, either way, you have to avoid me if you want to do your private acts. Meaning, either way, you have to, take care of your private acts when I'm not around. So what's the difference if I put a window there? In your friend's courtyard, so he's always there. He doesn't share with anybody. So if you all of a sudden put a window looking into his courtyard, it's going to affect him. But here we're partners. So when we're both in the courtyard, you can't do your private matters. When do you do your private matters? When I'm not around. Either way, you have to hide from me to do your private affairs. Kamash Malon, but we still teach us that the Amr lay ad ha'idna b'chatzer have ba'ina tzminach. You're right. When we're both in the chatzer, so I have to, hide my privacy from you. But like when you went into your house, I was good to go. I can take care of my private affairs. Hashta, now even when you're in your house, I feel a bias nami, but ina, it's enough. Now, even when you're in your house, I have no privacy. Because you could always look out. You can always look out through your window. So that's why our Mishnah taught the additional novelty of not building a window into a joint courtyard. Because there, you would have thought that either way the guy has to avoid you. But I said, no, even though he has to avoid you, he doesn't have full privacy. But he still could say that he wants his privacy, at least when you're in your house. And if you were to build a window, then that would sacrifice his privacy even when you're in your house. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in a brayso ma'aseh b'alamecha. There was a story with a person. He went and opened up a window into a joint courtyard. Rabbi Yossi. So Amar lo hechzakta b'ni hechzakta. So we learned earlier on Daf Mem Aleph that there are some opinions that when you do something to your friend's courtyard, or you do something to establish a chazaka right in front of the other guy, and he says nothing, then you don't need to wait 3 years. That could establish a chazaka immediately. So this person made a window to his friend's courtyard, the joint courtyard, and his partner didn't say anything. So they went to Rabbi Shmuel, the son of Rabbi Yossi, and he told him that, my son, you've established a chazaka very good. Right away, you don't need to wait 3 years, like those opinions earlier. Yeah. Ubal lifnei Rabbi Chia. So now this is interesting, because usually once you go to one rabbi and he tells you the halacha, so then you're not allowed to go to another rabbi. So either here they didn't accept the ruling, or you have to know how he's able to do this. So then he went Ubal lifnei Rabbi Chia, and he said, Amar, Yagatu pasakta, Yagatu v'sasu. You worked hard and you opened up a window. Now go work hard and close it up. And he didn't agree to this. Until you have a window there for 3 years, we don't say that it established a chazaka. He argues on that idea. And he says, it's been a day or two. So that's not enough to establish a chazaka. Go and seal it up. So, Amar Rav Nachman, V'listom la'alter havei chazaka, she'ein adam asri she'sos min oro b'fanav v'shosek. So, what happens if the guy that built the house, he goes and has a window into his friend's courtyard? The friend goes and now builds a wall blocking the light that's going to go into this guy's house. And so do you need to wait 3 years to establish a chazaka or not? Says Rav Nachman that no. Such a thing, when you put a wall blocking the window, which lets light into a guy's house, and he's silent, such an act, that establishes a chazaka right away. It shows that the guy doesn't mind this window being here, because that's such a significant act that that will establish a chazaka right away. Lakach bayis bechatzer acheres lo yiftechanu lechatzer ashutfin. So the Mishnah told us that if you go and buy a house in another chatzer, which has an opening also to your chatzer, your joint chatzer, so then you should not open it to your joint chatzer. So let's say you live on the east side of the chatzer and you go and buy a house on the west side of the chatzer. So now can you open up an opening to the other side of your chatzer? So the Mishnah said no. My timer, why not? That you're going to increase traffic. People are going to come through, and that is a new opening. So then you're going to have new traffic coming through that wasn't there before. So even though people come through anyways, you're not allowed to go and increase the amount of people, because that's real damage. There's many more people. Imagine if you're, nowadays your backyard or your front yard is people use sometimes to walk through to get the shul or something like that. And all of a sudden you made a new opening. So once you made a new opening, that's going to now, you're going to have, 100 more people coming through your house than you wanted. That is going to be something which is prohibited to do. Says the Gemara, Ema Seifa. But look at the latter part of the mission. We're on Daf Samech Tamar Aleph. 1, 2, 3. 5 lines down. 3 lines from the new Mishnah. Ema Seifa. The end of the Mishnah says, Eliyim Rotza Bona Asa Cheder Lifnim Beso Bona Aliyah Agabe Beso. So it says there that if you're going to build yourself a room in your house, or you're going to build an attic, so that's going to also increase people. Meaning, even though the Mishnah said you can only have 1 point access, right? But now you have additional tenants. I mean, those additional tenants have to go through somewhere. So yes, they're only going through your entrance that you use also. You're all using the same entrance. But how are you allowed to increase tenants in your house? Because the way they're going to get from the public domain to your house is through the chutzner. And that will increase traffic in the chutzner. And we just taught in the beginning of the Mishnah, you cannot increase traffic in a chutzner. That's a real damage. And the people in the chutzner can stop you from doing so. So says the Gemara, Amar Rav Huna, Ma'i cheder shechilku b'shnayim, u'ma'i aliyah apisai. So what did you do? You didn't actually add a room to your house or add an attic. You took a room and divided it into 2. That you're allowed to do. You're allowed to fill up your house with as many tenants as you want. This is, sounds like you divide your room with a lower story and a higher story. And now there's like, a little bit 2 levels in your house. So such a thing would be allowed. Meaning, it sounds like, I think this is a big discussion among the Rishonim, basically, can you ever add, in this situation where you share a chutzner, can you ever add an additional room? Or you're only allowed to fill in your house with as many people as possible. But to add an additional room, maybe an attic, so it was going to cause more traffic, at least according to the Rashbam, it sounds like that might be an issue. So that's what the Mishnah says. To fill up your house with people, they can't claim, well, you're adding traffic. I have a house, it's made for living, and I'm allowed to use it for that. So therefore, such a case would be allowed. New Mishnah. Samach Amud Aleph. Lo yiftach adam lechatzer hashutfin Pesach keneged Pesach v'chalon keneged chalon. So the Mishnah says you cannot open up into your courtyard, into a joint courtyard, a window that is going into the other person's window. The windows that are corresponding to each other. So if you make a window in your house, on the other side of the chutzner is another window, or a doorway that's corresponding to another doorway. It's exactly parallel to another doorway. So that's going to be usher. Because of tznius, so what do you have to do? You have to make your doorways not exactly aligned with each other. So if you're coming and building a doorway or building a window, and you see that exactly across is another window of your friend's house, you shouldn't build it exactly, aligned with his window. You're going to have to move it a little bit because of tznius.
You don't make balak wrong.
What do you say?
You don't make balak wrong.
That's right. Oh, we're about to get there. Very good, Steve. Says, I was like, let's finish the Mishnah. But yeah, the Gemara is going to say the proof for that is going to be Bilam, right? In Parshas Balak. Yeah, in Parshas Balak. So, okay. So now, Haya Katan, if you had a small window, Lo Yasenu Gadol. If you had a small window, don't make it a bigger window. That's going to go into the chutzner now because that's going to compromise people's privacy. You have one window, don't add a second window. You're not allowed to add a second window because it's going to increase the ability to see into people's courtyards. If your house is looking to the Rosh Hashanah, so there, and there's another house there in the Rosh Hashanah, or on the other side, I guess, of the Rosh Hashanah. So then that's going to be allowed. Or if a window which corresponds to the window in Rosh Hashanah, that's also going to be allowed. Those cases when it's in Rosh Hashanah, that you don't have to worry about. But when it's going into someone else's house in the Chatzer, then you do have to worry about it. I guess it's talking about a window in the public domain. I mean, that's already public property. Yeah, okay.
If we don't forget, a public domain basically was a thoroughfare.
Right. So why were the windows in houses there? People built stuff in the...
No, because, I mean, think of...
meaning everyone's coming through and they can peek into your window.
You know, Rishus Harabim is not what we think of as a Rishus Harabim. You know, because the true definition of the Rishus Harabim was a certain amount of traffic. You know, like how many thousand people people a day.
600,000 or something.
Right.
Yeah. You know, so if you, I don't know, where would you take? I don't even know if Ocean Parkway qualifies.
In Midtown Manhattan or something.
Sorry?
Yeah, Manhattan, maybe.
You know,
Right.
so in the Rishus Harabim, you've really got a lot of coming and going. And it's from city to city. It's not.
Right. So I guess if there's a window or a doorway there,
Yeah, it's not Vermont.
anyways, it's sacrificed by all the public thoroughfare. So therefore, putting your window
You're
there,
not adding any.
right? One more guy peeking into 600,000 people who already peek into your house. So that's not going to be enough. Right.
Stop and
So now, what's the source? Not immediately that you cannot put a window that's directly aligned with another person's window. So you have two houses in a courtyard. Both houses cannot have windows aligned with each other. You cannot build that window aligned with someone else's window. Minahan immediately, what's the source for this? Amar of Yochanan. The Amar Kra, the pasuk tells us, Vayisa Bilam. Vayisa Bilam, he raised up his eyes. Vayarish, so he saw the Jewish people, Shochem the Shvata, dwelling with their tribes in their tents. Ma'ra'ah, like what did he see? Ra she'ein pischei ohaleim mechuvanim zelazeh. He saw that the entrances to their tents were not aligned with each other. And he said, Amar Ru'uyin Halalu Shetishra Aleim Shechina. These are people that are fit that the Shechina, Hashem's presence, should dwell with them. Tznius is one of the things that Hashem's, when you have that, then the Shechina should dwell on the Jewish people. Yeah. If you have a small window, you cannot make it into a big window. So here's going to be a machlokas. So why? So Savar Rami Bar Chama Lemeimar. Oh, sorry, not why. What's the case? Rami Bar Chama thought to say Bar Arba Lo Lishave Bar Tmanya Dikashakol Tmanya Bechatzer. So the rule was that if they would ever come and divide up the Chatzer, each entranceway got minimally Arba Amos, or some things on machlokas way earlier, but either you got Arba Amos minimally, or as wide as your entrances, that's how much space you got in your Chatzer. So if everyone has, a regular doorway, so if they were ever divide up the Chatzer, each person would take with them, and 4 Amos of that courtyard. If I had a 8 Amma doorway, so I would get 8 Amos of my Chatzer. Basic idea is that the Chatzer was used as like, a lodging place a little bit, to go into your house. So you needed space. So if you have a bigger entrance, you'll need a bigger area right in front of your house, which is part of the Chatzer. So Rami Bar Chama thought, you know what this case is talking about? If you only had a 4 Amma entrance way, you cannot make that, you cannot make it into 8 Ammas. Why? Because now you've increased your potential of Chatzer space. If you now are allowed to extend your entranceway from 4 to 8, when it comes time to divide up the courtyard, you'll be getting now 8 Amos of courtyard. So that, so basically you're taking away, space from other people. If you have a 2 Amma entranceway, anyways, the minimum amount you get in your Chatzer is 4 Amos. So if you went from 2 to 4, you haven't, taken away from anybody else. You haven't increased your Chatzer space that you're going to be allotted if it's ever divided up, and therefore that would be mutter. Yeah. Rabbah argues, and he says, sorry, Amrle Rava, no. You can't go from 2 to 4. Why? Matzi Amrle, the guy can say back to you, when you had a small entranceway, I wasn't nervous about doing my private affairs. Well, it's only 2 amos. But now, if it's a big entranceway, now I can't hide from you. So sounds like Rami Bar Chama, didn't really this claim he did not agree with. His only thoughts were, how much courtyard are you getting? As opposed to Rabbah, that he understood that no, once you're going from 2 to 4, that's a significant amount that will compromise the other person's privacy, and therefore he can stop you from extending your entranceway. Yeah. Okay. Echad lo yasena shnayim. So the Mishnah said that if you have one, one second. Yeah, if you have one entranceway, so you cannot make it into 2. Yeah. So now, same thing. If you have an original entranceway, which is 4, so lo l'shavye trey b'nei tarti. Why not? If you have one entrance, which is arba amos, which is 4 amos, the amount of chatzar that you'll be getting is also arba amos. If you now go and you make it into 2, so then you're gonna have 2 amos and 2 amos. Each entrance will now get 4 amos allotted to it. So that's the minimal amount of chatzar. And if we ever divide up our chatzar and everyone takes a piece of land back with them, so then the minimal you get is 4 amos. If you have 2 entranceways, you'll be now taking 8 amos. So Amrle Rava, Aval Bar Tamni, if you have an 8 amma entranceway, so you'll be getting now 8 amos of the chatzar, that b'nei arba shapir dami, that you can make into 2 because it's gonna be 2 4 amos entranceways, and you won't be getting any more of your chatzar. You'll be getting 2 4 amos parts of the chatzar. So you have 8 amos of chatzar, which you already had originally. So that's fine. Amrle Rava, same thing. With one entranceway, I could hide from you. I could do my private affairs. Now that you have 2 entranceways, that sacrifices my privacy, and therefore you're not allowed to build it. Aval posech l'rishus harabim, Pesach keneged Pesach. In a rishus harabim, you can make an opening which is aligning with another opening. Sof habayis mibnei rishus harabim. At the end of the day, if he wants to do anything, so he has to. Right. So how bites his thing? If he wants to do anything, meaning he has the whole Rishus Harabim that are passing through, that if he wants to do anything private, he has to figure out how to have privacy with all those people coming through. So your additional Pesach, your additional opening, entranceway is not going to sacrifice his privacy. Because either way, if he wants to do private affairs, he has to go do it in a way that people from the public won't see him. So you're just on the other side of the public thoroughfare. So once he's doing private affairs, he'll be hiding from you too. So your opening is not going to, sacrifice any of his privacy. Okay. Ein osin chalol, next Mishnah. Ein osin chalol takas rishus harabim. You have a rishus harabim. You want to build some kind of hole under the rishus harabim. Boros, shichimaros, different kinds of ditches and wells. So are you allowed to do that? You're going to cover it up, but you want to build a big pit there. I don't know, maybe you want to store your stuff there. Maybe, who knows? But can you build that and cover it up? So Tanakama says, the first one says you may not do it. And Rabbi Dovid Gleizer only if if it can travel through carrying rocks and it's not going to break the cover of this pit, so then that's enough. It's not going to cause any damage. We're worried about damage being caused with this pit, even though it's covered. So as long as you could, it can bear the weight of a wagon going through, so then that's going to be fine.
There's a steel plate in the road.
Exactly. Exactly. Now you have a house with different protrusions. Can you build those protrusions into the Rosh Hashanah? Do you have to put them back in your house? Ein motziin zizin v'gustros l'Rosh Hashanah. So you can't go and have parts of your house protruding, different balconies, different porches, different beams that are protruding from your house out into the public. So why? Because people are going to stumble into it. You have animals coming through carrying things. You have a big protrusion now. So that could be very dangerous. Yeah. Yeah. So you can't do that. Yeah. Ein motziin zizin the gustros which is rabim. Ella imrotza, unless if you want rotza konis asok shalo umotzi. What you could do is your wall is at a certain place. You're allowed to now, move your wall inwards a certain amount of space, and now you have that area where your wall used to be, where it's no longer. So you have that space. You have that space now, and that's fine. So even though you've sort of increased the space of the Rosh Hashanah, but because your wall was there, you're allowed to bring it in closer, and still have that. You still have that area.
Your property line stays where it was.
What did you say?
Your property line stays where it was.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. What is it? How does it translate? Umotzi.
Extend.
Meaning what's extending?
One man extend that, one extend that things.
Draw his house back into his own property.
And now you could extend, right? So you can't originally go into public property and extend your balconies, but if you put your wall in, so that area that your wall used to be in, that you could put a balcony there. It's still your airspace, right? It's still your space, and therefore you could do it. That's right. So, yeah. Let's say you bought a courtyard of buzzes and gustros. You have these different balconies, these different protrusions. So, harezu becheskasa, that's what it came with the house. You don't need to remove them. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is the way I bought it. I bought the house with these protrusions. You can keep the house that way. So says the Gemara. So what do the Rabbanan hold? They said you cannot make a big airspace, a big hole, not airspace, a big hole, a ditch in the Rosh Hashanah, even if it's covered over, and even if you can bring a wagon by that is holding a lot of rocks, and it's not going to affect, the cover of your ditch. The Rabbanan say zimnin demafchis v'lavadaite. Sometimes the thing could break, and you're not going to notice it. If that thing breaks, that can severely damage a lot of people. Rabbi Dovid would say, no, I'm not worried about potential if it breaks. Right now, look at right now. Right now, can it carry the amount of weight? The answer is yes. So if it can carry the amount of weight, so then that's enough already to allow me to put it there. Sorry, sun's in my eyes. It's fine. So ein motziin zizin v'gustros. Rabbi Ami. So this is interesting. Rabbi Ami habali ziza have nafik lemavo. Rabbi Ami actually had a protrusion that was extending not into the public domain, but into the alleyway. V'hahu gavra nami habali ziza have mapik which is rabim, and another guy had a protrusion that was protruding into a public domain. So also comes Rabbi Ami. So he went and asked him what he should do. So he told him, Amrlei, zeal coats, go cut it down. It can't be there. Amrlei, but the Hamarnami Islay, you also have one. He said, no. Didi lemavo mafik, b'nei mavo machlin kabay. Mine goes into an alleyway. An alleyway, there are a lot fewer people that are going through the alleyway into the Rosh Hashanah. So the alleyway was where everyone from the Chatzir would go through the alleyway and to get to their Rosh Hashanah. I went to all those people and they all were Michael me. They all forgave me for it. That's why. But yours opens the Rosh Hashanah. So didach Rosh Hashanah mapik. So man machal gabach. How in the world you can have a whole Rosh Hashanah forgive you for this protrusion? It's impossible. Therefore, you have to cut it down. It's like reminds me about, I think the Chafetz Chaim says, I believe it's him, say lashon hara about a large group of people. You're gonna be in big trouble now. How in the world are you gonna go and ask for forgiveness? So it's like I said, it's like a pillow with all the feathers coming out. Go collect all the feathers now. Good luck. So Rabbi Yana Havile Elon Hanotil Rabim. Rabbi Yana had a tree that was extending into the Rabim. So there's a person who had a tree that was also extending into the Rosh Hashanah. So also b'nei Rosh Hashanah, havu kama akvei lave. So the Rosh Hashanah came and said that basically you're preventing us from going through. Our animals, our camels are being blocked and damaged by your tree. So this guy and Rabbi Yana both have the same situation. So also the comment Rabbi Yana, and you want to know what to do. This is Rabbinics 101. Amar lei zil ha'edna v'salam ochar. So remember, the guy had the same situation, and his wasn't cut down, and now a guy comes and wants to know what he should do. So says Rabbi Yana, why don't you go now? I gotta think about it. Come back tomorrow. The salam ochar. So that night, Rabbi Yana said, "Balayla shadar." He sent somebody to go cut lahudi day. He sent someone to cut down his tree that was being extended into the Rosh Hashanah. So the guy comes tomorrow, and he came. So he said, "What should I do?" So Rabbi Yana said, "What do you mean?" Amrlei zil coats, go cut it down. He said, "I don't understand." Amrlei hamar nami islay. You also have a tree that extends to Rosh Hashanah. So Amrlei, yeah, zil chazi, go check. E coats didi coats idach. If mine's cut down, yours has to be cut down. E low coats didi low takots as low takots at. And if mine's not cut down, then you don't have to cut yours down either. So the guy went and checked; it was cut down. His cut is down either. So says the Gemara. Okay, hold on. Mi ikara ma'asaver ulebesof ma'asaver. What Rabbi Yana think originally that he had his tree there and he pushed the guy off, and what do you think in the end that he cut down his tree and had the guy cut his tree down? So miikara savar nichal lahu lebnei sarabim diyase betule. He said he thought it was good. He had a tree there. A tree is great to provide shade. Have long trips, you need shade. So therefore, it didn't bother him. He thought it would be okay to extend to have his tree extend to Rosh Hashanah. So what changed? But then came in the chaz come akve. Once he saw it actually blocking people and infringing on people, camels were knocking into these trees. So Shadar Katye, he sent someone to go cut it down. Yeah. So the lay Malay, why didn't he tell him? Why did Rabbi Yana do the following? Just admit to the fact that you also have this issue, and you're going to work on it. Listen, you go cut down yours, and I'm going to cut down mine. Why did he first have to cut down his, and then only have the guy cut down, have the other guy cut down his? Says the Gemara, well, you know why? Mishum de Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish says, a pasuk, his kosheshu, this pasuk is in Sfanya, his kosheshu v'koshu. So what does it mean, his koshu v'koshu? Says the Gemara, shot atzmecha v'achar kach shot acherim. First, you have to fix yourself, and then you can go fix other people. That's one translation. I think another translation is, first you have to adorn yourself, then you could adorn someone else. But the word fix, I think it fits a little smoother. First, fix yourself. You have an issue, you fix it. Fix your issue. Then go to other people to fix that issue.
Lead by example.
Right. Yeah. The word kshot comes up when you open up the Aron Kodesh by kshot. There means truth. The word kshot means truth. So I always thought that it's translated as fix, because you have to find the truth out for yourself, and then live with that. Then you can help someone else figure it out. But yeah, the word kshot, I think there in Ban Arak, it refers to the Torah, I believe. I guess we'll find out on tomorrow, on Monday. when we pay attention, hopefully. So about okay, let's try to. The last part of the Amud is a lot of agadita about the Beis Hamikdash, so it shouldn't take too long. Let's try to get there, and then we'll be fully caught up on according to the Daf Yomi cycle. Yes, it was Daf Samach. He said no.
Yeah, yesterday. So today.
Oh, Daf man. Okay, so even more so. Aval imratza konas esok shalom motzi. You're allowed to move your wall You're allowed to move your wall into your property 5 feet inwards. That space that your wall was taking up is still yours. So you could have a protrusion that extends from your new wall out. That area that your wall used to be. So if your wall was 10 feet out, now it's 5 feet. So that 5 amos is still, or that 5 feet is still yours, and you can have protrusions going out. So ibailuhu, kanes v'lo hotzi ma'ahu. Let's say you put your wall in, you brought your wall in. Let's say 10 feet. You put your wall inwards 10 feet. However, v'lo hotzi, you had no protrusions. Ma'u sheyachzer, can you go out now and make a protrusion? So originally there was no protrusion there, and now what happened was that space people started using it. They started using that space to walk through. Now you want to go and put something there? Is that allowed or not allowed? Rabbi Yochanan Amar Kines Umotzi, Reish Lakish Amar Kines Enomotzi. So Rabbi Yochanan says that you can put when you extended your wall in, you can be motzi, you can put the protrusion. And Reish Lakish says no, your house can go in, your wall can go inwards. You can bring your wall in, but enomotzi. You're not allowed to go and now make a protrusion. Amar Rabbi Yaakov Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Tachlifa. So Asavar Lach. So I'll explain to you the machlokas Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Lahotzi kuliyam lo pligi demotzi. Everyone agrees that you're allowed to go and make a protrusion, going from the wall to where your wall used to be. Ki pligi lahachzir ksolim limkomon. That's the machlokas. Can you put your wall back where it was? Protrusion, yes, but now I want to put my wall back where it was. It used to be, in a certain location. Now I brought it inwards, and now can I put it back where it was? So the ibcha, and really Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, the way I understood it, he said they actually say it differently, the opposite of the way you said it. Itma, Rabbi Yochanan Amar Eino Maxir, you're not allowed to return the wall back to where it was. Reish Lakish Amar Maxir, you could return it. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Eino Maxir, you can't return it. Why not? Mishum Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Meitzar, an area, the boundary, Shehechziku Barabim, a certain pathway that the Rabbim now use. Asur lekalkalo. So you have a certain pathway, let's say by your house, which all the rabbim started to use. So you can't destroy that pathway. You have to leave it there. Once they started using it, so now it became, quasi-public pathway, so to speak. Reish Lakish Amar, no, Maxir. Why? That halacha, Rabbi Yehuda, I agree with that halacha, but that's only when there's a pathway that there's no other way to get to. You need to use this pathway. So that pathway, since many people use it, you cannot destroy it. So hanimile hecha de leika revacha, but hacha ika revacha. Here there's plenty of space. They don't need to walk through this new 5 feet area that you've availed for the public. They don't need to walk through that area. Since they don't need to walk through that area, so therefore he holds you can put your wall back. Okay, let's see what we could do with the Agadita. If not, we'll have to play catch up. Yeah. Laka chatzeru ba. Oh, not yet. I got it. Okay, soon. Laka chatzeru ba zizim gushos harehi bechaskasa. You buy a chatzer. You buy a house in a chatzer. You bought something in a chatzer, right? And now your house, you bought this house, and now the house you bought has these protrusions that are going into the public domain. Harezu bechaskasa. You don't need to go and destroy it. Amar Rav Huna nafla. If that house fell down, the one that had protrusions that you bought, you can go and rebuild it just the way it was. You don't have to rebuild it without the protrusions. You can build it with the protrusions, and it's fine. Because that's the way you bought it. What do you want? That's what I bought. That's the way it came. Meisvei. The Brisa says, Ein mesaydin ve'ein machirin ve'ein mafaychin b'zman. As translated, you can't put lime on it. You can't put lime on a house. Different kinds of improvement. Plaster lime ornaments to your house nowadays. Ever since we lost the Beis Hamikdash, you can't do these things. Laka chatzer misviades. Let's say you bought a house that's already You bought a house in the chutzner, I guess it means. Like a chutzner means you bought a house in the chutzner.
Yeah.
Right. That's already that's in plastered and limed. Was it plaster, lime, and paint? Painted, plastered, and limed. So harezu bechaskasa. So if you already bought it that way, so that's the way it is. You don't have to go now and take away the paint. Nafla, but if it fell down when you rebuild your house, you cannot rebuild it with plaster, lime, or paint. So that's the kasha. We just said if you rebuild that other house with protrusions, you can rebuild it with the protrusions. Here, if you rebuild it, you cannot rebuild it with the you cannot rebuild it with all the paint that was there. Why? It says no. It's not a kasha. Yisura shining. When it comes to this, it's also because since we lost the Beis Hamikdash, you have to show aved, you have to show mourning on your house, and you can't decorate it, to its fullest. You have to leave it. That's already an isser. When you're talking about isurim, you can't go and do something that's usr. When you're talking about monetary matters, so that was the house you bought. That's the way it was, and you had a right to those protrusions. That monetary right doesn't change just because the house fell down. So now, more about this idea that you cannot do things since last Beis Hamikdash. Okay, we're not going to finish, but we'll just do for another minute. Tan Rabbanan lo yisod adam as beso besid ve'im ire bochol otav mutter. You really can't put lime on your house, but if you mix it together with either sand or straw, then it's mutter. I guess that makes it less nice, and therefore that's not so nice, and therefore that's okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ire bochol. So if you mix together with chol with sand, hare ze traxid v'aser. That's going to be a traxid, and that's going to